Hey, go down in the comments right now and tell me about the craziest surveillance case you have ever had. In just a few seconds, I will tell you about a case involving a 300-pound man, opioids, and a car wash. Welcome to the PI Guy, tips, tricks, and advice for professional private investigators just like you. My name is John Morris. I am a licensed professional private investigator here in Colorado. Now, today's case study and lessons learned video involves a routine personal injury surveillance case I got a while back. Routine is what I had expected it to be anyway, but once things got rolling, it turned out to be anything but routine. Before we get started, go down, hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button to show your support for the PI Guy channel. Now, this case involved a younger male subject involved in what is known as a slip and fall injury case. He allegedly tripped and fell due to hazards on the ground while walking across a parking lot and was suing the owners of the shopping center and the store that he was in front of. Now, I had worked this case a couple of other days and had no extraordinary things come up. I had followed him and his wife to a grocery store and to get some fast food. I had some really good video of him walking, entering his vehicle, even doing some mechanical work on his car, all with no signs of injury whatsoever. The subject had an upcoming doctor's appointment, so the client wanted me to cover that and see how he displays when he goes to see the doctor. This is pretty normal, SOP, standard operating procedure, in most injury cases. Often we get claimants on injury cases who appear to be completely healthy, then suddenly appear walking with a limp or crutches, canes, a walker, you name it, when they go to see their doctor. Okay, here is a key factor to this case. Listen up. The guy I was watching was a big guy. I mean, a really big guy. He was like 6 foot 6 inches and weighed around 300 pounds with little body fat to him. Why is that important, you ask? His size comes into account due to his prescription. Due to how large he was and his claimed injuries, he was on the max dosage for some very serious opioid-based painkillers. Given this and the fact that I had observations of him showing no signs of difficulty, it really set off alarms with the client. The day of the doctor's appointment rolls around. He has an early afternoon appointment at 1 p.m. I set up like normal. I go out about 6 o'clock in the morning. I see him out working a little bit on his car and follow him to a fast food drive-thru. Nothing too terribly exciting, just the normal stuff. About 11:45, he and his wife come out of the house and get into the car. But wait. What did he put into the back seat of the car? He placed something in the back seat of the car. It appeared to maybe be a walker. He also got into the passenger seat, and his wife got into the driver's side. Usually, he was always the one who drove when I had seen them in the past. She pulls the car out of the driveway and heads out of the neighborhood. It was actually nicer following her as she drove a little bit slower than he usually did. Now, the doctor's appointment is about an hour away. This can be another tell that something is up with a case like this. Many times I have seen people who are faking injuries choose a physician that is a long ways away from their house. They do this for a couple of reasons. The main one being so they can see if anybody is following them. Also, they'll go to one of these if their attorney suggests for them to do it to get favorable outcomes. Given some of these concerns, I followed at a distance, but it wasn't too much to worry about since I knew where they were going. My biggest concern was to get there in time to obtain a good stationary position and get some good video. When we got within 10 or 15 minutes of the clinic, I decided to go ahead of them. This is something that I do often so I can get that sweet surveillance spot as well, so I'm not following them directly into the clinic parking lot. When I arrived, I grabbed a good parking position in an adjacent parking lot. It was perfect. There's no way that they would see me over there, and I could see the entire parking lot for the clinic as well as the main entrance. Here they come around the corner. I get all set up, camera in hand, I'm ready to go. Now, really quick, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for me. As they parked, I saw his wife get out first. She then walked into the clinic by herself. I was like, uh-oh. Did they see me? Am I burned? What's going on here? After a few minutes, she comes back out and walks to the car and then opens the rear passenger door. She then grabs the walker out of the back and she sets it up next to the car. Then she opens the front passenger seat and she aids her husband as he struggles to get out of the car. I mean, man, he looked like he could barely get out. He was all bent over. He was grabbing his back. I'm serious. I was ready to nominate him for a Grammy right then and there. He finally gets out and she helps him get to the walker. Then he heads towards the clinic's front door. As they approach the front door, I see somebody exit the clinic with a wheelchair. As he approaches them, they assist him as he sits in the wheelchair, and then they all enter the clinic. I then had to double check my video and photos and make sure that I had the right guy. Yep, it was the same guy I had observed earlier that day and other days. I guess maybe his meds ran out on him on that long drive. Yep, that's probably it. That has to be the explanation, right? After about 90 minutes, here comes his wife out of the clinic carrying the walker and heading toward the car. She places the walker into the trunk of the car, then pulls the car around to the front of the clinic. Then I see some folks helping him out in the wheelchair and then helping him get out of the wheelchair and get into the vehicle in the front passenger seat. Then off they go. The chase continues. Now, before I tell you where they went next, go down, hit that thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button really quick to show your support for the PI Guy channel. Now, I followed them back as she drove towards their residence. They got about halfway there and then pulled into the parking lot of a pharmacy. She gets out and goes into the store while he sits in the car. After about 20 minutes, she comes out carrying one of those little white prescription bags. As she approaches the car, he gets out of the passenger side, walks around to the driver's side, and gets into the driver's seat, all with no assistance and showing no signs of difficulty. His wife then enters the passenger seat, and away they go. Man, those meds must have been so good that all he really needed to do was get close to them for them to take effect. Now, I've seen this plenty of times in the past. Unfortunately, there are folks out there that get addicted to the pain meds and they just keep the charade going so they can continue to get meds. But, folks, that's not the case in this case. Just hang on. Now, I followed them home. He went inside and there were no more observations for the remainder of the day. The client asked me to do a couple more days and see what happens, so I went out the very next day. I arrived on scene like usual, nothing new to report, vehicles in the same spots. It all looked completely normal. He comes out about 7:30 and goes to get breakfast at a fast food place and then returns home. He then works on the yard a little bit and then he heads out. This time he seems to be in a bit of a rush. He gets out of the neighborhood and takes off. At first I'm like, whoa, he's never driven like this before. Am I burned? I do my best to keep up with him. He remains about a half a block ahead of me most of the time with several cars between us. I see him pulling into a small shopping center parking lot. I let him go in, take the first entrance, and I go on down and I take the second entrance on the other end of the parking lot. As I pull in, I start scanning. I'm looking everywhere. Where did he go? I can't find him. Where's his vehicle? Did I lose him? Then I notice a car wash over in the corner, so I drive over past it, and lo and behold, there he is sitting inside his car in one of the bays. I am so relieved that I found him. Now I just need to find a place to observe him and grab some video. I can't find any place in the parking lot, so I go over to a residential street across the main street where I can watch. As I pull up my camera, I see my guy getting into his car as another man is walking away from him. My guy then starts up his vehicle and he takes off. I then followed him home at a distance just to be safe. After he got home, I zoomed in on the car, and wait a minute, it is completely filthy. He never even washed it. My mind starts to wander now. Did he go there to see if I was following him? Am I burned on this case? I then decided to park outside the neighborhood where I could see when he leaves for the remainder of the day. I go back out the next day and I do the same. I verify the cars are present and then I sit outside the neighborhood. 7:40 rolls along. There he goes on his breakfast run, just like clockwork. I get minimal video when he gets back home, but he seems to be just fine, not acting suspicious at all. A couple of hours go by and here he comes flying out of the neighborhood again. This time he is on a mission. He is driving at a very high rate of speed. Now, really quick, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for me. Show your support for the PI Guy channel. I followed him right back to that same little shopping center and right back to that same little car wash bay. As we approached, I decided to just pull over into the residential area across the street and watch from a distance. As he pulled in, I see a female subject walking towards him from the street. I grab my camera and I start getting video. As she approaches him, I see they're laughing and they're talking a little bit. Then he extends his hand like he's going to shake her hand, but the hands just kind of slide across one another awkwardly. Then she walks away and he goes back and sits in his car. About 20 minutes goes by and a man in a little pickup pull into the adjacent car wash bay and he just sits there. I see my guy get out of his car, walk around, lean into the passenger window of the pickup for a few seconds. Then he goes back to his car and he leaves the area. I followed him back to his house again without incident. Now I'm thinking, what is going on here? I finish my day without any further observations and I head back to the office. The first thing I do is I pull my video and I take a closer look. When I zoomed in on the video and watched his hands, it appeared that he was handing something to both the female and the guy in the pickup, and then he retracted his hand and placed what appeared to be cash in his pocket. I'm like, whoa, is this guy a drug dealer or something? I went back out the next day, and this time he went there and met 3 people. The big difference this time, though, was I saw his prescription bottle sitting on the dash of his car. Every time somebody would arrive, he would grab it, and it appears that he takes some of the pills out. This time I made sure I zoomed in more with the camera to get his hands clearer. Once the day was over, I quickly edited my video. I grabbed some of the stills from it. I compiled my report, and I sent it to the client. They were ecstatic. He had another medical a couple of weeks later. They had me cover it, and a couple of other days after that, and the same activities were observed. I know they challenged his claim. I was subpoenaed to testify at a hearing, but then I was notified that it was settled. Hey, thanks for watching the PI Guy, tips, tricks, and advice for professional private investigators just like you. Here are 2 more videos that are just for you. Go down below, hit that thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button. And remember, folks, stay safe out there.